microphone, however. And I need a little help.
If you need growth hormone, we can hook you up.
It'll be too late for that. All right, you guys, how are you all doing this evening? Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here with you tonight. And when Jen called me, I think it was a few months ago, I said, of course, I didn't even hesitate. I just really wanted the opportunity to share with you a couple of thoughts and also read a proclamation that our governor has signed, which I'm really excited about. But I wanted to share a couple of things. Number one, I got involved in politics over 20 years ago. My first job at the Oregon State Capitol was as an advocate for the Women's Rights Coalition. And it was a really incredible opportunity for me to work on issues that I care very deeply about: domestic violence, women's health, child support enforcement. But there is one little bill that I kind of carry with me today in my memory. It's a bill that I worked with a number of advocates on that we passed, and Governor Barbara Roberts, our first woman governor, signed into law back in 1991. And that bill enabled parents to stay home with their sick children without fear of losing their jobs. And when Governor Roberts signed that bill into law, Oregon became one of the first states in the nation to have family medical leave. So parents could stay home and not lose their jobs and take care of their children and their families. But for me, what was most important about that was that I realized that I could make a difference in the lives of Oregonians, and I could work to make Oregon families and make Oregon a better place to live for all of our families. So shortly after that, I got the call from my state senator asking me to run for office, and you can guess what I probably said at that time. What did I say? Yes, I said yes, because I think the best way of moving your agendas forward is to actually be there. So I just want to talk about a couple of things that we can all get involved in. I know we just finished an election this year, a few weeks ago, but I still think it's an important reminder that one of the most important ways that we can all stay involved is to vote. And for me, this is very, very personal, both as your Secretary of State, your Chief Elections Officer, but because when I ran for state office, for the State House, I ended up winning that race by a mere 7 votes. And I will tell you that 20 years later, everyone who voted for me then believes that they were the reason that I won. And guess what? They were. So I just think that's a really important reminder to register and to vote. The second thing is, oh good, and we have the slide up, is to actually run for office. And for me, another really important lesson, and being a member of the LGBTQ community, I think it's really important for all of us to be at the table. And one of my good friends says, if you're not at the dinner table, sometimes you end up on the menu. And so for me, it's really important to have all members of the LGBTQ community at the table, and most importantly, at the leadership table. So I offer myself as a contact if any of you should want to run for office. My email's pretty straightforward, kate.brown@state.or.us, and I'm happy to talk to you, happy to get you plugged into any of the organizations that are training folks to run for office, because I think it's really important that our elected officials reflect the entire diversity that's the state of Oregon. And the third thing is, and I think these are some really great examples of that, if you're not interested in running for office, there's a number of other ways to get involved. And obviously during the campaign cycle, you can volunteer and intern for candidates. Now with the legislature being in session, there's an opportunity to get involved at the legislative level, whether it's staffing a committee or staffing an elected official. My policy assistant, Josh Goldberg, is here with me tonight, and Josh gets to go with me a lot of places, and it's a great learning experience, I think, for him, but it's also really a great learning experience for me as well. Josh, I know they can't see you, but please give him a shout out. He's just been really great. here. One is Sasha Butcher, who works for Basic Rights Oregon, and Sasha is is chairing actually one of Oregon's boards and commissions. And it's a really great way to be involved at a policy level and have your voice be heard on policies or issues that you care about. Oregon has over 250 boards and commissions, and so there's a really a tremendous amount of opportunities. The governor and his representative, Kendall Clausen, are very committed to diversifying the boards and commissions that we have in Oregon. So again, if you have an interest, feel free to contact me. Also, you can contact Kendall Clausen at the governor's office. She's in charge of executive appointments. Carrie Johnson, many of you may know, and Stu Rasmussen, who's mayor of Silverton, Oregon, and just does a really fine job representing her community. And so, with that, I want to close with a comment. Sometimes serving in public office gets to be really difficult, but I treasure comments that people have made over the years, and one of my favorite quotes is by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he said, "Our lives begin to end when we are silent about things that matter." And I just want to encourage each and every one of you to stand up and shout out to make sure that all of our voices are represented at the table in Oregon so we don't end up on the menu. And with that, I'd like to close with the proclamation. Our Governor, John Kitzhaber, has signed a proclamation, and I'd like to read it for you. It says, "Whereas TransActive Education and Advocacy is a nonprofit organization based in Portland and is an international leader in providing education, services, advocacy, and research that benefits transgender and gender nonconforming children, youth, and their families. And whereas transgender and gender nonconforming children and youth are among the least understood, most marginalized, and underserved populations of Oregonians, despite constituting at least 1% of all children and youth. And whereas transgender children who receive the love and the support of their families, friends, neighbors, communities, schools, and culture have every opportunity to thrive and be successful. And whereas transgender adolescents deserve access to pediatric medical care and health care coverage that affords them the opportunity to experience physical purity in a way that is congruent with their gender identity. Now, therefore, I, John A. Kitzhaber, MD, Governor of the State of Oregon, hereby proclaim December 1st through December 31st, 2012 to be Transgender Youth Awareness Month in Oregon, and encourage all Oregonians to join in the observance with me. Signed, Dr. John A. Kitzhaber and Secretary of State Kate Brown.